Well, howdy there, Internet students. It's Mr. Hermanson again. Today we're going to start a new unit on quadratics. Uh, and specifically today we're going to talk about a thing called polynomials. This first page is just some stuff that you're going to run into that you should remember from past lessons. So go ahead and just do this page, see if you remember. You don't necessarily have to do them all. If you think you know how to find them, find the correct answer, then maybe just do one from each set. But I'll put my answers here so you can check back and see if you got the right answers. If there's any of those that you didn't understand, let me know. I'll give you some more details on that. That. All right, here we go. Adding and subtracting polynomials. Go ahead and look at this vocabulary and fill in what you think is the correct answer, and then you can just check back and see if you got it right. So a polygon is an expression that contains one or several monomials. Monomials are just things like 3x or 5 or 4xy. And if you combine those with plus or minus, then you have yourself a polynomial. All right, so let's look at some. One thing we can talk about is the degree of a monomial. To find that, just add up the exponents. Now, if you have a whole number like 3, you can think of the exponent as being the 0 power, because anything to the 0 power is just 1. So that's equal to 3. So the degree is 0 when it's a constant. Okay, and 0 has no degree. So this is x to the first, so that is a first degree monomial. We're going to add all the powers here. So 2 plus 5 is 7th, so this monomial is a 7th degree. And since this is a constant, all constants are 0 degree. Now, except for the constant 0 just has no degree. All right, so see if you caught that. Give this a shot. What is the degree of the monomial 8xy? Since it can be written 8x to the first, y to the first, we add the ones together, and so this is a second degree monomial. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is how do you add and subtract monomials? Well, you should remember that if they have the exact same variable and power, they're like terms. And we can use the distributive property. You probably don't think too much about this, but this can be written this way: x to the second times the quantity 2 plus 7. So the coefficients essentially can just be added together and we get 9x squared. So just add the 2 and the 7. You would only change the powers if you were multiplying, not when you're adding. Okay, so this next one we're going to add 8 and negative 3, which is 5, and the variables stay exactly the same. So it's 5x squared y. All right, why don't you try one of those? And those are the answers you should have got for those. All right. Now, standard form looks like this. It decreases in degree. So we'll have the highest degree first. And then the degrees just go down with a constant last, if there's a constant. So since this is a second degree, we would just switch that around. Put it in standard form, we would write 2x squared plus 6x. For this one, we look for the highest degree, which is the negative 4x to the third. That would go first. We would combine these two because they're like terms. Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2, x to the second, and then we have a plus 2 at the end. All right, you try one. I hope your work agrees with mine. So you should have 8x squared plus 2x minus 3. All right, now adding polynomials, you just add like terms. So to get the profit or loss, since this cost is written as the negative that it should be, we can just add these two together. And if you want, you can line them up just like you did in basic arithmetic. You could put the 120x, and then for the second polynomial, put the x squared underneath the 2x squared. Put the minus 300 x underneath the 120, and then the minus 8,000. If you want, you can fill in a 0 here, but you don't have to. And you would add the 2 and the negative 0.5, which is 1.5x squared. You would add the 120 and the negative 300, which is negative 180x. And you would add the 0 and the negative 8,000, which would give you negative 8,000. Okay? All right, so why don't you try one? Your polynomial should look something like that. All right, to subtract polynomials, you can do the same thing. You just have to remember that you are subtracting every part of it. So if I line them up like this, minus m plus 9, and then I put 4m squared under here, and then I put m under here, and I put negative 12 under here. Now remember, you're subtracting, so I'm going to put this out here, very important. Every item you subtract, so you're going to do negative 4 minus 4, which is negative 8. I just noticed something. I goofed. This 4m squared should not go underneath that, so we're going to have to change it up a little bit here. We have to have a m squared term. Now what you can do, since this does not have an m squared term in it, you can just put a 0 as your coefficient. So 0m squared minus m plus 9. All right. And then I'm going to subtract from the 0m squared, 4m squared plus m minus 12. Now remember, we're subtracting. So if you take away nothing from this first term, you're going to not change it. You're going to do 0 here minus 4, which is negative 4m. You're going to do negative m minus the negative m, or minus the m, which is negative 2m. And then you're going to do 9 minus the negative 12, which turns it into a plus, and you get plus 22. Now, actually, the way I like to do these is I just remember that everything inside the parentheses here needs to be subtracted, and then it goes a little better. So we start with negative 4m to the third, and since we don't have any m squared here, we just have to subtract this 4m squared. And then we have a negative m here, and we're going to subtract m from that. So negative 1m minus m is negative 2m. And then we have this 9, and we're going to subtract negative 12. So subtracting a negative is adding 21. Whoops. Second mistake for today. Not doing too good. That should have been 21. All right. So I'm going to give you a shot at that, I think. Oh, nope, we're done. You could practice that. Start your practice. What I would do is print out the practice sheet and then do all the problems first, and then go to the Google form and enter your answers. They're mostly multiple choice, but it probably work best if you worked out your problems first. All right, talk to you later.